Hey heroes, this is your resident string player Darian.
And this is Angela, your certified brass player.
And you're listening to Hero Talk, the show that is here to talk about real life
and real women in music.
Okay, let's get started.
I think we say that after every time it plays during a recording session.
Though ever since we got like the real recording that isn't like the MIDI instruments, there's like this one chord that's just like at the very end, something about my vibrato makes it just like the ever so slightest bit out of tune. It drives me a little crazy.
Oh yeah, no, there's one note where I know I played it out of tune, and I'm like, dang,
I don't notice anything in the trumpet part. It sounds great to me.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Do you even notice what I'm talking about?
No.
I'm sure you don't.
Yeah.
It's just because I know I'm playing it.
Oh yeah.
In case anyone doesn't know, we are the instrumentalists playing the trumpet and the violin.
Oh yeah.
On that. We like took 2 takes right after recording the podcast. We're like, okay, this is all we have time for. I hope this is good.
Maybe one day we'll re-record it.
Maybe. I think it'd be cool at some point if we ever like did a different instrumentation.
Ooh.
Like
we can like do instrumentations of like the rest of the team. That would be cool.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or some cello in there.
Or if we did like a string quartet version or like a wind ensemble version.
A brass quintet version.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Like, or just like totally different array of stuff.
Yeah.
Just.
Oh, we could do that. Would be so cool.
One day when I have more time.
Yeah, fair enough.
To do it.
It's busy now. We're in the thick of it.
Oh, I know. And like, I feel like hero stuff has been picking up for me, at least as the executive director. I've had like so many emails. I know. Sorry. She like rolled her eyes at me, but I did.
Out of love.
Well, I realized I was just calling myself the founder. And then I had this meeting with this entrepreneurship school. Yeah, she's from the entrepreneurship school, and she's like one of the leaders of Innovation.
Okay, I know what that is.
Yeah, her name's Wendy Plant, and she was like, you don't have a name for yourself besides founder, and you have a working functioning role in the company. I was like, no. So
yeah, that's true.
She was like, you can be a founder, but that doesn't imply that you're like have a working role.
That's fair.
And I decided, okay, so I guess I'm an executive director. And she was like, yeah, that works. It seems wrong to say like CEO.
I'm the CEO.
We're too tiny.
Yeah. One day. Yeah.
So I'm now my role is executive director. And I have to admit, it does feel cool to say. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I'm a little pretentious.
Like when you, I mean, please, we can all be like that. I feel like it'd be cool when you're like going down and they're like, oh, what do you do? And you're like, well, I'm an executive director of this nonprofit.
My own nonprofit.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds very good.
It makes me sound more accomplished than I feel.
But you are. Please.
Yeah, but there's just been so much happening. And now that the conference, all the stuff is gearing up to start sending out advertisements for it. I've just been having like so many meetings trying to get our name out there and try to get people interested in coming, because we have to invite people from a lot of different universities, academic settings, and try to get, people who are interested in applying for the conference. And when y'all are listening to this, because we're recording it a little early, our advertisement should be out and on our website. If anyone's listening that is somehow interested in presenting or submitting compositions or wanting to perform, we'll have all those different applications set up that you can apply for by November 1st.
Yeah, this is a great avenue for grad students, doctoral students, undergrads even, to
professors who want tenure.
Oh yeah, professors in general. Yeah, that just want more.
Someone who wants to support this little nonprofit that is slowly gaining revenue to
support women in music.
Yeah, support us, and if you're like super famous somehow, we would love to have you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Wink, wink.
I know. We're making it though, y'all. It's just, I've been burning the midnight oil for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, from what I'm realizing, it's just so many emails. I was talking with this guy named Renzo who started the studio orchestra at FSU, and they're kind of doing this whole like entrepreneurship thing. It's more associated with FSU than a separate entity. But we were joking, we're like, we didn't realize how much we'd have to be more social to start.
That's fair.
It's like, it's a lot of talking and emailing. And I was like, 2 things that I'd rather not do when I have free time and it's all I do now.
Yeah, rather just sit in silence and take it all in. Yeah.
No, my emailing skills hopefully are getting better.
Yeah.
It's actually an interesting thing that I was listening to. It was like an old podcast, and they actually, I think they don't even record episodes anymore, but it's called Broadly Speaking, like broad, like
okay,
yeah. It's like two women, kind of like us. Oh, but they were talking about like language in emails, and I always think about this when I'm typing emails now, because how women tend to come off nicer in their emails to try to not seem like bossy.
I always do the backspace. I like putting those exclamation points, and I'm like, oh wait, who am I emailing? Okay, backspace period. I work in the graduate office at FSU, and Dr. Marcia Porter works as the interim dean there, and I was like asking for help to email stuff, and then she read over my email. It was an email to go and do math classes at college, and she's like, let's change the verbiage here in the language and not say please or sound like, maybe I was downgrading myself a little bit because I am a student and I'm trying to go to these colleges, and it was really enlightening to like, I don't know, she had this like,
that's a good idea though.
She reworded my email, and it sounded so confident. It sounded like, yes, I am going to do this. And
I know that's what I'm trying to do. Like when I'm emailing people as this executive director, I'm like, I need to sound like I'm confident, but most of the time I'm like, please, especially if it's someone who is more reputable than us and like has like this huge standing in the classical music community, I'm like, we'll fit whatever fits your schedule.
I like it though when it's someone like reputable, and then they're like, okay, period. And
I
then
know.
Sent from iPhone or whatever.
Or when I was emailing Augusta Thomas, she was like Gusty at the end.
I
was like,
that.
Oh, you're so freaking cute.
Gusty. Aw.
Yeah, that was a whole other segue. But
on another tangent.
I know. But I feel like as you're emailing, it adds like a whole another layer that I think women in music think about a little bit. Probably women in general. Because like I said on this other podcast, which isn't music related at all, I was like, this is so true. do you guys think about this? Am I too harsh? Am I too mean today?
No.
Am I too demanding? Back on topic.
Oh, well. Yes, let's get back.
So today's episode, I wanted to talk about how men can support women in music. Because on our first episode, we were talking about kind of our stories about what was your biggest challenge that you face as a woman in music, which brought up a lot of stories that might not represent all men in the best way.
Yeah.
But let's emphasize that this isn't all men who do this. You know, these are, and it's not necessarily men either. It's the whole patriarchal society that we live in. And I was always planning to do this, you know, shed light on, you know, what is going right.
Yeah, positive role models,
Yeah.
positive male role models.
Yeah, because we've made progress, you know.
Absolutely.
It's because of people like us and men and women who want to see equality throughout all career fields.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to highlight that. And if anyone's listening, think, how can I support the women in my life or the musicians in my life, or what looks like what's something that's positive that's happening. I wanted to make this like a positive podcast, you know, talk about all the good things.
Yes.
And
yeah. So the question that we asked on our Small Talk Instagram was, tell us a time where a man supported you as a woman in music. Happy story time.
I added that part because I was like, I want this to be happy.
Yeah.
And it made me smile when I was reading these answers.
Yeah.
And also just a plug, this is our Small Talk on our Instagram.
Yes.
So please participate. We usually ask a question once a week. And this one's from a couple weeks ago. We're finally getting to it. And I'm so happy we are. Because like I said, it made me so happy.
Yeah, they're very wholesome.
I know. And this first one, the first response said, I had a male teacher that always told me that I could do anything when I was little.
That's just so sweet.
I know. The male or female teachers that just like have the utmost faith in you and just encourage you like that.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier to like go after whatever you're working on.
I can't even imagine how many people haven't like done music or whatever it was because someone, you know, man or woman above them or in charge of them was like, no, you don't have it. You know, you should just change.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between like a mean teacher and an unsupportive teacher.
Yeah,
Like, cause I've had like, they're not necessarily mean, more like tough is a better word.
Yes, absolutely.
Where you're almost like, they're so intimidating. I have to be great all the time. And, you know, they work you really hard in the practice room or in lessons. And they're always still encouraging. But then there's like tough and mean where they're, you know, knocking you down, belittling you, which I've had before.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
But this reminds me of actually one of my own teachers like a
Aw.
little personal story. When I was in high school, I think I started in middle school though, I started taking lessons that weren't for classical violin. I was in a band actually in high school that we did like country music, and I was fiddling, and I also did like, you know, Celtic and Irish music. Not many people know this about me, but that's what I wanted to pursue originally, like going into
Fiddling?
Yeah, undergrad, because I was, you know, doing like local tours and tours in the, you know, in the South, and I had a full ride to Berklee College of Music.
Nice.
And I'm glad I didn't go, because I totally did a 360. I went the classical route.
Mm-hmm.
Back to what I was talking about is it all started with this teacher. His name was Bobby Flores. He recently passed away, but he was an amazing teacher. And it was very sad when he recently passed away, because he's the example of like a really encouraging teacher. Like, he was the sweetest man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think he had a mean bone in his body. And he, you know, he's like had a Grammy and like produced, had this whole studio, and pretty much like he let me come and give a master class at his like teaching
nice.
academy.
Yeah.
Well, not let me, he like wanted me to come
Yeah.
when I got older. But when I was younger, we would just sit there, because learning like fiddle music is more of like an aural thing.
Mm.
So he'd like play a tune on his fiddle, and I'd play it back, and it was just so wholesome. And he'd take me to like jam sessions with, always so encouraging. He's like, oh, you got it. He was like, you'll do whatever you want to do in music. And it's like the most encouraging man. So that's not for Bobby Flores, but
Aw.
this is for Bobby.
Go Bobby.
Oh yeah, he was great. And I think that's an example of like a really encouraging teacher for me anyway, that wasn't a woman. And I think that's something that teachers can aim for. It's just, I think it's when you have true kindness and you truly care about your student is where you have amazing experiences in the lessons.
Yeah. I've always had male professors, so.
Well, yeah, it's brass. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I've always like thought of like, oh, what would it be like to have a woman professor? Okay, never had the opportunity to work with a woman professor, so I'm going to be a woman professor. But let's go.
Mm-hmm.
But they were always super encouraging. They treated me like the other guys in the studio, not in a way of like, oh, she's a bro or gal's bro, whatever. That it was always super supportive and always there for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it felt like more. Sometimes I felt like maybe they were like my like father figure in college sometimes.
Aww.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, all my college professors, like private instructors in college were women.
Yeah.
I've had lessons with, you know, male violinists like at festivals and stuff, but it's definitely easier, I think, to connect with female professors.
Yeah.
Like in my experience, since you've never had one, but
I've played for a woman professor before, Dr. Amy Gilbert. Amazing. Love working with her in that one time. And she was like, it was when I was going to Italy, and we went to this trumpet Orvieta music festival, and she was like the main trumpet teacher there, and she just was like a badass woman. It was very inspiring. Like, dang, I want to be like her.
Another answer was like, the best choral director in high school always told me to follow my ambition for music.
Aww.
And I was like, oh, all the teachers out there, that just makes me so happy.
Yeah. Oh.
Especially seeing more men feel comfortable to take up teaching positions, because that was usually seen as like a female role. And that's just another, you know, side of the coin, that of creating a more equal space that you could go after what you really want to do and pursue. And I think we're definitely seeing that. It makes me really happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've read one was, I thought, super funny. It was a band teacher told the boy trombones I was the best, and it was because I had girl power. And that's just, that's so cute. It's so fun and empowering as like a woman in brass, you know, when you're in high school and you're surrounded by all these boys and they're like, she's got it, you know.
I liked that, you know, the girl power.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think anyone ever told me I have girl power. I feel like I have it, but no one ever told me.
Darren, you have girl power.
I think everyone in Hero has girl power. Let's be honest.
Yes.
We're all heroes. Get it?
Aw.
Heroes. Yeah.
Hey, heroes.
A lot of these seem focused around like professors. Like another one said, my orchestra director at college, which they're lucky. I mean, I had an orchestra director that was great until he ruined it.
No.
Like one moment where, I mean, for the most part, he was fine. And I think he had the right intentions, but it just brings up where these lines of what's okay can get blurred. And he didn't do anything horrible. It was more like he was trying to thank me because I was the concertmaster or whatever. And he thought I was doing like this amazing job with the orchestra, which I think I was.
Hell
but
yeah. Get it?
he, after like our last concert, he like kissed me on my cheek. And I thought he was I thought he was just going in for a hug. I was like, he's like this older man, and it gave me like he was trying to be my grandpa kind of vibes.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea what his vibes were, but I remember just being like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
And I think he was trying to be sweet, but then in my back of my mind is like, he would never do that if a concertmaster was a guy.
No, probably not.
And I was like, you know, it's our last concert. I'm not going to think about it. I'm leaving anyway.
That's fair. Yeah.
And
how weird.
He's just like as an older man and that power dynamic, I don't think you should be kissing your children.
You should
your
not
students.
touch the student. Yeah.
Well, hugs are fine.
I mean, yeah.
I'm okay if like a professor hugs me or, you know, like ushers me to a different area of the room.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't want my professor to kiss me on
Oh,
the cheek.
God, no.
I think that was one of the first times where I actually felt uncomfortable by a male figure. In a position of power anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But that just makes me think of all the times that other women must, you know, experience things like that. And it's difficult to talk about because there are so many other great male professors. And I'm sure, but from experience with working with him, he was a wonderful director. There was nothing wrong with him. It was just like, I don't think he had bad or evil intent behind what he was doing. And so it's hard to be angry about it. It's more just like, because I'm a woman, I have to deal with that uncomfortable situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because I'd never consented to that, which it's weird. Like, do you have to consent to someone showing affection and appreciation? But then again, they wouldn't do that with a man.
No. Yeah.
So it's like, why do you feel comfortable to kiss someone on the cheek when they're a woman?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's a deep rooted patriarchal issue.
Yeah.
Where it might be coming from a good place, but they feel comfortable with that because they see themselves as, you know, someone in a higher position of power, you know, gender wise and, you know, position wise in their career.
Mm-hmm.
And that I should feel grateful. It's probably, you know,
yeah.
I'm thanking you for doing such a great job, which again, I don't think he's actively thinking, but that's this deep rooted
absolutely
idea that makes men in positions of power, especially the older generation, feel like it's okay. But so I'm just happy that a lot of the people in these answers are having such positive experiences. And I'm thinking the younger generation of professors, that's one thing that's being aged out, I think.
Yeah.
Again, there's positives and negatives at any professor, and every teacher I've had, you know, they all have come from at least a good place and not at like a predatory place, which that's a whole other conversation.
Another podcast.
I know there's so many stories out there of that happening.
Yeah.
But if you notice, it's mostly, well, at least the ones I've heard of. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that haven't come to light, but it's usually an older professor.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, that might be generalizing a bit, but I think there's change happening, and I think more men are more conscious of how they're interacting with women, which I think is a good thing, and as a result of the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other segue. Everything's a big segue.
It is. So the next one is my husband following me to grad school to pursue performance.
I thought that was so cute.
That is so sweet.
I think that's every female musician's dream, is that a man will like support them.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a couple that I know. She came to FSU for her master's and her husband followed her. Now she's following him to his master's. I think it's just really sweet.
I think that's a good way to like show like a healthy relationship with like full of compromise and support, equal support.
Yeah, because they're both musicians. You know, that's hard to maintain that balance when you have like
I know
you're dating another musician.
I've noticed that with dating, where people are like, oh, where do you want to like end up? And I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna live.
Yeah,
I need to wherever I get a job.
Yeah, literally, that's it. Yeah.
And so it's like you have to have a partner that's, you know, willing to follow you if it's going to last long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of these responses that we're getting are very similar, which is very exciting and heartwarming. Like another one that's very similar to the last one is my fiance moving with me across the country so I can pursue my doctorate.
I know. I'm glad people are in healthy long-term relationships where they feel like their spouse or partner will follow them and support them, and not necessarily following them, but allowing them the space to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
I know from like my past dating experience, you know, here's the tea, y'all. But you know, like if you have to practice or you can't like hang out because
that's a big thing. Yeah.
I don't think non-musicians have a hard time, I think, understanding how much practice happens or like rehearsal time.
Work outside of work, that has to happen.
Yes, because we don't work 9 to 5 jobs generally. And so like when I've had like past relationships, I think they're surprised by the fact like we'd have a rehearsal from like 7 to 10.
Yeah.
And they're done with work, but I'm like, I'm not.
Nope. Yeah.
Because we're working at odd hours of the day. It's not like 9 to 5 like in succession. I don't know if you have any experience with that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really date those boys.
I had a couple. Yeah. You're lucky you dodged a bullet.
I dated way too many musicians. I attracted to them.
See, I was the opposite. I went to the non-musicians.
I dated a non-musician and they were crazy, so I steered back.
See, I dated a singer and he was crazy.
Singers, love singers. I have many roommates that were singers. Love them all, but sometimes they're a little diva.
I don't know, but he was so crazy. And then I was like, maybe I shouldn't date a musician for a while.
That's fair. Fair.
Why is this turning into a divulging of past dating experiences? Well. But I think it's also important though to think about for young, female musicians. You have to be careful who you date because you want them to support you and not put you down and to where you think you can't.
Oh yeah, well anyone, you want them to support you, but definitely having that conversation with later down the line, whoever you're dating.
Even in parents too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like my family's been so encouraging of my career path, which there's some musicians that where their parents are like, oh, that's not a career.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to not have that.
I had some family members like that. But,
really?
Yeah. But then like I would go to my master's and like, oh, they're getting another degree. So I guess, it is all worth it, Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's true. I think when they see a bunch of degrees behind your name, they're like, oh,
well, yeah, because you get a job. Like once you get like another degree, it's like you're more
official now.
Official, and probably get another job. If this music thing doesn't work out, you can get another job somewhere else because you have multiple degrees. And I'm like, don't say that.
Oh, why do I feel like we're so like high energy for this one?
Oh, I'm chugging coffee. I have it right next to me.
I was like trying to wake myself up before this, and now I'm feeling very alert. You're like sharing your coffee energy with me.
Welcome.
But yeah, my dad in particular, I think, was always super encouraging, even though he knows nothing about music.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'll help you buy your first violin.
That's so
I was
sweet.
like, oh, thanks, Dad.
Nice.
But I think him and my mom were, shaping me and my sister to be the little feminists we are, I think.
Good, yeah.
Because my dad's like, as long as you put in the work, you can do whatever you want. And I was like,
I love that.
I think I took that to heart as a child, because I remember him saying that a lot. And I was like, I can, maybe why I'm a perfectionist, but it worked out.
Hey,
I think all musicians are perfectionists.
Yeah, in their own little way. We're all little perfectionists.
Yeah. But it's, comments like that from the men in your life and, the women as well.
Yeah.
Go a long way.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking to support the women in your life, just, words of encouragement.
Support, talk to them.
They might not hit them at first, but I think they become deep rooted.
Oh yeah.
Subconsciously. And then you're deep down, you're like, I can't do this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I had a professor tell me one time, like, you're gonna go somewhere one day, and it was kind of recent, but I was like, yeah, okay, thank you, okay. And then I thought about it the other day. So. Oh, thanks, Darren. Wow.
This is a happy podcast episode.
Positivity, yes. But I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, dang, I have someone behind me and supporting me that's like not even a trumpet player, they're a conductor, and I'm like, this is awesome.
It really does go a long way, and I do think we're seeing that in society, that change.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it starts with the young generation. I think we're starting to see that as, new generations are coming up into academic positions and into teaching positions. And it makes me really happy. And I think that was the first thing I thought about reading the responses.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you're seeing it from the positive impacts mostly are happening from your teachers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one of the responses mentioned their dad, kind of like,
oh yeah,
like me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, me too.
Yeah. Like their dad, what was it? Their dad couldn't afford lessons, and so they encouraged them to learn by themselves. That's awesome.
I know. And that is just, it's almost like reading this made me feel like when, how when you watch like the news, you're like, oh man, the world sucks. It's like when you see like those like, those YouTube videos where like, oh, the happy news that are happening. And you're like, okay, the world isn't that bad.
Yeah.
That's what it made me feel reading this. I was like, things are going right. And I think most people are doing good things. We just, the negative and the the bad scenarios are what has the loudest voice.
Loudest voice. It's the juiciest thing to talk about, you know? It's what people like. They love the dissonance,
I think that's why these kind of conversations are really important and uplifting for the soul.
Uplifting, reflecting on good times, on great memories.
Well, acknowledging the things that are working.
Yep. Yeah.
Because we're seeing more female professors.
Absolutely.
Because I was talking to someone we're going to be interviewing at some point, Dr. Denise von Glahn. She's going to be on my doctoral committee, which I'm so excited about. But some of like my treatise is going to be focusing on women in music a little bit. I mean, makes sense.
Yeah,
but, for what I'm doing. But she was talking about how when she first came to FSU, she was the only woman in the musicology department. And wow. And like how when she was writing her own like dissertation, she couldn't find, because they're all men, because she was like the only woman in like her musicology courses for a long time.
Wow. And
she was saying no one really supported my dissertation idea because they thought it was too out there, because she was talking a lot about how the environment affects music and impacts how we experience music. And they're like, oh, it's not like a hard, solid analysis thing is what she was talking about. She'll probably put it in better words when we interview her. I might ask her to speak on that. And she was saying how as she's got taught for longer and longer amounts of time, that she's seen more women enter into this career, this field of study in this career area, and how her kind of topics are becoming more normal. And it makes me really happy to see how women are being welcomed into these spaces and how we are having different kinds of conversations around music and supporting women's areas of research and not belittling them.
Oh yeah. There's so many, like a lot of our friends are doctoral students right now, and there's so many dissertations going on about like women and composers and their pieces on their instrument and the pedagogy behind them. And then with Dr. von Glahn's treatise topic, I've noticed that there are a lot of classes now about that kind of thing.
I'm in one of them.
You're in one of them.
I'm in her class, Music, Sound, and the Environment, and I really like it.
Look at that.
It honestly, I took it because I read the description. I was like, this is like exactly the kind of thing that I think about when I listen to music and what I was interested in writing my treatise on. And every time I sit in this class, I'm like, oh, it's a new way of thinking about music. And it feels like I'm opening my mind when I'm in that class.
Okay.
And she's just really cool. Dr. von Glahn is like a powerhouse, honestly. I'm so excited to interview her.
That's going to be a really interesting podcast.
Yeah, for anyone listening. In our opinion, it'll be very interesting.
Yes, please. No bias here.
But we can segue into our trivia.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Where's our super cool sound effect?
Yes. You should get your roommate to play that.
She probably could.
That'd be so cool.
She's not here right now, but
can I play the little?
Which one?
What are those? If we record her playing it, I want to play the wind chimes part.
I do have a wind chime on my patio.
Oh, let's go. Okay.
It doesn't sound quite like that one because it's made out of like shell materials from like a beach.
Okay.
But it sounds nice.
Well, okay, we'll use it.
It might work.
It'll be unique. All right.
Yeah, if you guys ever hear a really weird harp wind chime thing, that's what it is.
We've recorded it.
But I still love that sound effect. It makes me feel like a princess.
Yes, yeah.
I think like Rapunzel for some reason.
I think of that Princess and the Pauper movie.
Oh, that Barbie movie?
Yeah. I love that movie.
I loved Barbie movies growing up. What was it? I think it was either the Swan Lake one or the Nutcracker one. Those are like my favorites.
Those songs are still bops to this day.
I really like them. And honestly, I'm kind of excited for that new Margot Robbie movie.
Oh, I haven't seen
it's not out yet, but it's coming out. They're like recording it. It's the Barbie movie.
What?
She's like Barbie.
Like real life Barbie?
Yeah, they're doing like a live action. And I was like, I really like Margot Robbie.
Okay.
And I'm really, really excited about it. Oh, what a segue. But
yeah.
Let's listen to the harp thing again.
Darian. Who was the first woman to publish a symphony? I'll give you some options.
Yes, please.
A. Amy Beach. B. Rebecca Clark. C. Florence Price. The question was, who was the first woman to publish a symphony?
I think I know this answer because the first thing that popped in my head was one of your multiple choice answers.
I hope so.
And I was like, I think I'm right. Okay. Is it Amy Beach?
It is.
Woohoo! Where's my applause button? Woo.
Nice. 1 point on the board.
Yeah, I think I knew that because I never got to play this recital because of COVID, but I was
Dang.
learning her violin sonata for my senior recital in my undergrad,
Mhm.
and I was writing program notes on it. And I think I wrote that she was the first woman
Oh,
to have a
really?
symphony
Look at
published.
you.
And I was pulling, back, opening the files back in my brain from a long time ago. And I was like, I think I know this answer.
It's like that one scene from SpongeBob. You know what I'm talking about? He's like, what's his name?
don't
No.
shame me.
Oh,
I've never really
gosh.
watched SpongeBob growing up.
Someone out there probably knows what I'm talking about.
All right.
Yes. Okay.
Hit me with question 2.
Question 2. Who was the first woman to have a symphony performed by a major U.S. orchestra? Was it A. Florence Price, B. Jennifer Higdon, C. Clara Schumann?
I think Clara Schumann recorded. She didn't not recorded. I don't think she composed any symphonies, so it's not her. She did all piano and
Yeah.
like chamber ensemble stuff. I don't think it's Jennifer Higdon. It's older.
Oh, yeah.
So it has to be Florence Price.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice. 2 points.
Yeah. I think this is how my brain works during like tests. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's a great way.
I was like, logically, let's go through. You made that one a little
I
easier.
did. I think all mine are pretty easy.
I think if you put Amy Beach in there, I would have probably
Ooh.
picked her over Florence Price.
Okay. I'll think
But
of that
that's
next time.
actually amazing. It's like a African American composer to be the first
Oh,
woman
yes.
to have a
Mhm.
piece, play with a major orchestra is amazing.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Florence Price.
Educated me today, even though I got it right.
Yeah. Good job.
All right, last question.
Last question. You'll get this one. What are the buttons called on a trumpet?
The things that go up and down.
Yes.
There's 3 of them, right?
Yes. Sometimes.
Uh,
I'm not gonna. Never mind. Forget that. I'm confusing you.
I was like, you can change the number. They're valves, right?
Yes. Yay! You got all 3. I played it easy on you today.
I mean, okay, explain though. You can change the number of valves on a trumpet?
Okay, so it's like a piccolo trumpet has a 4th valve for alternate fingerings.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's a higher. It's like an octave higher. If you play
Do
a
all
B-flat
brass
piccolo.
instruments have valves?
Not all brass.
Oh.
The trombone there's a valve trombone. So I guess yes,
Okay. And don't like French horns have more?
they have pistons. They have They have 3, and then they have one that changes from F to B flat.
Oh.
It's like
They do something weird with their hand.
yeah,
too.
they cup it to like mess with the sound.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't think
There's
I'd be a very
stopped
good brass
horn.
player.
There's stopped horn. I'm pretty sure where you have to transpose.
You're doing like this like punching motion.
I don't know. That's not how they do it, but I don't play.
I'm like, it
horn.
looks really violent. I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
I have one about Clara Schumann too. All right.
Boy.
So how many children did Clara Schumann have? You can choose between 2, 5, 8, or 11.
Oh, thank you. All right, not 2. Back in the day, they be making children.
Oh, yeah.
2, 5, 8, and 11.
Yeah, and she was the one taking care of her kids while also having a career as a soloist.
Yes.
Because Robert Schumann was going a little crazy. So she was making all the money and taking care of the kids.
My guess
She
is
needs more credit for that.
God bless. Yeah, my guess is either 8 or 11 because I feel like 2 and 5 is too small. 8.
I don't know. For me, 5 seems
I
like a
mean,
lot of kids.
Same, but okay. I'm just gonna go for the gusto and say 11. Oh no! Don't hit it. Dang it! Is it 8?
It is 8.
Dang.
Yeah. She had 8 children. Her poor body.
Good for her, I guess.
When I
Dang.
think of that, I'm like, I would not survive.
God, that's so much. And having a career, making music, composing music, performing it,
Yeah.
helping her husband.
I know. How'd you have the energy?
Yeah, I'm sure like some of her children helped, but
I would hope so.
when they grew up.
All right.
right.
Here is my violin question for the day. Because you got a trumpet. No, yeah, trumpet. I thought I said trombone.
Oh gosh, you said trombone. Okay.
You got your trumpet question for today. So I would hope you're familiar with Stradivarius violins.
Oh,
Have
I'm
you
a
heard-
Strad trumpet.
But have you heard of Stradivarius?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like everyone's like, oh, I have a Strad.
Yes.
All right. So the maker's name is Antonio Stradivari. So the question is, what famous violin maker taught Antonio Stradivari?
Oh.
I feel like you might recognize the name, but you won't know why.
Okay, say the question one more time for me.
What famous violin maker taught Antonio Stradivari?
Like how to make violins.
Yeah, like he apprenticed for him when he was like 12 or 14, I think is when he started as a child.
I don't know violin makers. I don't know.
I'm such a jerk. That's a hard one.
That's so hard.
I can ask you my 4th question to make up for the hard one later.
If it's watch me get that one wrong. Okay, violin makers. I'm gonna start. I don't know. I don't do.
Venture a guess at least. Okay, his last name starts with an A. It's Italian.
I don't know.
All right. Do you want to venture a guess? Make up an Italian name. Let's see what's your brain come up with for an
I
Italian.
don't want to know what I came up with. Literally. That's what my brain sounds like right now.
I love these sound effects.
Italian last name A.
Do you want me to just give it to you?
Yes.
All right. Nicola Amati. Have you ever heard of Amati?
You know,
That name?
it's somewhere back there in my brain.
I know. I'm sure you've heard it
Amati.
somewhere.
Okay. Nicola Amati.
Yeah.
All right. Dang. I didn't know. No. I would have never gotten that. I was
I'm
thinking
sorry.
long Italian names too.
No. Like some of the famous violin makers from that time era, like those contemporaries with like Stradivari, Guarneri, and Amati.
Okay.
Like those are some of the big names.
Okay. I'll remember that. Yes. Okay.
You don't need to remember. When is someone ever going to ask you this question again?
You don't know.
All right. Here's kind of another music history one. What is Fanny Mendelssohn's married last name?
I don't know anything.
I thought
about
most people knew this.
I can see the answer, but I can't read it. Like I see the textbook of where I read this one time.
Uh-huh. Because Mendelssohn's her maiden name.
Yes.
And I do know that some people will hyphenate her name so
Yes.
that to give her kind of like credit so she doesn't have too much of an identity, given to her brother or to her husband.
Yeah.
To be like her own person.
Oh, I can see it. I can't.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. It starts with an H.
I can see it. I could see how many letters are in there. Oh, I'm so bad.
Okay, you want another hint?
Yes.
It whenever time I read it, it makes me think Handel, like the composer Handel. I don't know why. But there is some similar letters in there.
Okay. Hansel. It's Hansel. Let's go.
Yeah, it's Hensel. Hensel.
I got 1 point.
Can you see why it makes me think of Handel?
Handel.
I think it's, well, maybe because the E might be pronounced Hansel.
Okay.
I don't know. I always said Hensel in my brain when I'm reading it.
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah.
Hensel.
1
All right.
point.
Did you want the fourth question?
Let's do it.
All right. So there's a little known composer and harpist that's going to be on the Hero recital that I'm playing a harp duet by Mary Elizabeth Cleary. She was a court musician for which French monarch?
You said I'd get this.
Okay, think of really famous French monarchs. There's a movie about this French monarch.
Oh my gosh. I'm on the spot. I can't think of anything. There's a movie.
Famous French monarchs that are women
Bruh.
that have movies.
I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm lame.
Isn't there like a famous line by her, "Let us eat cake" or something like that?
It's a band called Cake. I don't know, Darian. I don't know.
Mary
Spezial.
Antoinette.
Oh, Antoinette.
Yeah.
Dang it. Oh, gosh. Okay, well,
But she's like, I think, the most famous name in French monarchy.
didn't come up. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
When
Dang it.
I thought if I said French monarchy, your brain might go, oh, I only know Marie Antoinette or something.
It was blank.
Maybe you're the more tired one today.
I don't know. I did play a concert.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we have for you guys today. It was an interesting episode.
Yes, it was. Fun one.
I want to thank you all for listening to today's episode.
Well, that's all we have for you today. We are your hosts, Angela and Darian.
Yeah, and Hero Talk is associated with the nonprofit Hero Music Incorporated. And please visit our website to learn more and follow us on social media. So you can find our website at www.hero-omusic.com or our Instagram, where you can see our weekly small talk questions at hero.musicians. You can find all these links on our social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on our social media and on our website. There are links to all of it. So please reach out if you ever have any questions or you want to share a story with us or think there's something that maybe we should talk about on the podcast, because we want to hear from you and create a safe space or a circle for all the women in music.
Even if it's not in the Hero Talk, the small Hero Talk. We'd love to hear it.
Yes, of course. All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.